Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. We are already matched with someone, how exciting. Virisken, looks like a human. Base +5, very green. Asterian Zamora, sounds pretty cool. Rectifier is a defender you can use on the way there. I'm player 2, which seems good in a green focused set. Seems like drone. And well, you want to get the Zamora, right? I think we go drone conduit into Zamora. That's like a typical Zamora build. We've used it before. Maybe the presence of a Steri cannon means that you should be going more for economy and less for green. Not sure. Maybe my opponent can prove me wrong. If he mirrors, I think I'm happy. I'm more worried about him finding some interesting counter. I think the set is clearly very, very green, right? I don't plan to build any other tech buildings, really. Well, blue could be good, right? Blue is usually good, because I don't have a way to turn my drones into anything breach-proof, right? So I kind of wanted to protect my drones this whole time. So I probably will go for some blue soon. But the Asteri cannons will help with that. By providing barriers, I mean. We're going to be at least a turn and a half ahead on the Zamora. I expect him actually to be going for rectifiers here as his counter, which is cool. But I think I'll counter by building a Blast Forge. I'm super low econ right now is the problem. But if he does build the Mahar, the first one is going to do nothing. Right, I guess right now he's sort of threatening to build Mahar until I give up and die. The first one I can counter with a Blast Forge, but I really need to get some more drones in a big hurry. Or I'm just going to be overrun before Zamora. Like, I don't have enough resources to keep doing interesting things. I can't just do nothing until Zamora gets here, is the thing. Yeah, I mean, go ahead and attack. It doesn't do anything. So I guess the question is, can I survive against the chain of Mahars? If he doesn't build another Mahar now, I think it's a terrible mistake. Fine, another Gauss cannon, I guess, is, like, playable. Yeah, okay. So the thing is, though, like, this Mahar cost him 11 and doesn't do anything. And whereas it's neutralized by my wall, which just cost 5. So I was thinking he would build more Mahars to make the threat actually real. Right? I could build a Mahar now if I really wanted, and, like, he can't build a wall. So it's actually going to kill 2 engineers this way. I lose 1, you know, a bummer. And I'm also way down on drones. That's the main problem with this approach. He can start threatening a bunch more attack, and I'm never going to be able to build more drones if I do this. Alternatively, I could build more drones and, say, another wall. Or maybe another NG, since he's going to kill one, and I'd like to keep droning. I sort of expect him to attack for 5 next turn, actually. Build another Mahar, maybe? And then a wall would be pretty good to have. I could do something extremely aggressive, like this, right? And then have enough to build an Asteri next turn to go with... This sort of requires him, in a way, to build a Blast Forge, which means he'll ease off of the attack as well. I like this idea. It's trying to exploit his lack of a Blast Forge The problem, so this Auric Impulse is sort of like a drone that you can sell back on the next turn if you want. And I'm going to sell my drones back to allow me to buy an Asteri. And I guess he'll defend onto his Rectifier, which is, like, fine for him, I guess. I'm going to have trouble getting my Zamora going, but I think that's the main problem, is I'm... Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have built the Engineer, actually, because he can't attack with his Rectifier. But I'd like to build 2 drones, so there you go. That's a good reason. He's far ahead in economy, right? 17 drones to 10. But my Zamora is not so far away anymore. And it's sort of like 8 drones. Sort of. And he's not really attacking anytime soon because he has to hold his Rectifier back. Soon, of course, more attacks will come. But I can build like Drone Conduit this turn. And hopefully still have enough green by the time Zamora's online. Force Field. Really? Ah, because it prevents me from building 2 drones. That's interesting. I was trying to build Auric Impulse, but I can't. Only it costs green, I forgot. So, energy, not green. So he's actually giving up his 2 absorb on the Rectifier just to kill 1 of my engineers, which is, you know, not a terrible play. It stops me from droning, which is something I badly want to do. So, well done spotting it, I think. But it's going to put him under a bit more pressure. Now, of course, his wall comes down. And he can continue to attack with the Rectifier, which I don't love. Because now his wall is doing all the absorbing. I'm going to need to spend a lot of money on conduits pretty soon to ensure that my Zamora can keep firing after the first turn that it fires. And my opponent won't be that far behind on Zamora. I'm going to have to... Well, I'll have a couple turns where my Zamora fires and his doesn't. I'll need to use that time to build up after all the advantage that I've given up, right? Yeah. Maybe like this, and then next turn I can build 2 drones while the Zamora goes off. I could cut this, I guess, and build like a Gauss cannon to do a little more damage to him, but I don't think that's a good idea. We're threatening a lot of damage all of a sudden next turn, and he's going to have to start building, I think, a bunch of walls to hold. Yeah, he can't attack with his Rectifier even. So maybe I should have held back that last engineer. Or not built the last engineer, but I want... Wow. Force field, huh? Okay. I want to be able to build a bunch of drones. Is the thing. Well, I can't because I need to build a bunch of conduits. So maybe this last engineer was a bit ambitious. And I could have settled for just 1 and built like drone conduit or something. At any rate, it's giving him a problem, which is nice. Seeing him spend drones and green on defending the first turn my Zamora goes off gives me hope that he'll have trouble continuing to defend until his comes online. And if he has to spend green on it, then his may never come online. I feel like he should hold back the Rectifier here. It's only killing 1 engineer. And it's costing him a force field. I don't think drone is right either, since he's turning his drones into force fields to defend, and he doesn't want to spend his green. Yeah, I don't think that turn went very well for him. So we have to build, oops, at least one conduit, probably more. Maybe Steel Splitter to spend the blue and get a bit more attack. Costs 3 health, so we have one more barrier left in it. Seems okay. I kind of want more engineers. No, I again think he shouldn't attack this engineer. I think he's going to need to hold back the rectifier. So I'll have 2 engineers, which is fine. And if I only have 1, it's not the end of the world. I don't need to build that many more drones. I can build like a cannon instead or something. How he's going to defend with this is a bit difficult to see. What? No, that's the only way to defend. Yeah, you can't do any better than that. I mean, he can build 2 walls and some more force fields, I guess. Okay, so next turn his Zamora will be ready. Yeah, okay, now he's realizing that his rectifier is just killing 1 engineer. So we'll have $23. We can build, well, how much green will we have? 9. So we'll only have 1 we can actually spend. So the only attacker we could build is a Steel Splitter. Alright, he did click the rectifier, interesting. Well, I don't need to attack with my Steel Splitter. He's already losing all this stuff regardless. Which gives me a little bit of flexibility to attack in other ways. 9 of these seems okay. Then I'll have 10 next turn, which I could use to do what? Build a rectifier? That seems okay. But I'd rather actually just... No, okay, I guess this is fine. Although, maybe I should be building an Auric Impulse instead of a drone? Because all these drones that I have, I'm gonna need to start defending with them soon, right? And since I don't have green, since I'm spending most of it on Zamora, how am I going to defend? Not with force fields, right? He actually, interestingly, can't really spend any green next turn defending, unless he builds conduits to counteract that. So every force field is costing him $5, basically, which is pretty bad. Anyway, I could do this, and then sort of get that drone, but then sell it back, because next turn I don't think I'm going to want it anymore. I'm going to want, like, engineers or something to defend with. So I think that that's a little bit better. Just settle out at 14 drones. Build enough conduits that I can defend with force fields still. And now, like, he's way behind on green. Which is, I think, a much more important resource than gold with Zamora's about. Like, how is he... I don't know. He can do this and, like, not spend any... Oh, I see. He already has 8, right? His conduits get to go for 2 turns. So he can defend with force fields if he has to. That's true. Okay, so attacking with everything is good. So maybe like this? Get another blast forge I can build walls with. He's running out of walls, which is going to be a serious problem for him. He also doesn't have that much green to spare. So this seems okay. I'm attacking for more. I have more drones. I have more conduits. I have more walls in supply. Okay, sure. He has to spend most of his money next turn. Right, he has to build... He's going to have, what, 11 green? Spending 8 of it, he has 3 green. He'll get 3 more as 6. He has to build at least 2 conduits. Which is 8, so he'll have 14 left to do actual stuff with. It's going to be tough to even defend with that much, I think. Right, he has to build 2 walls, and now he can't do that again next turn. He has to build the conduits, at least 2. What else is there? I'm holding my hands up and shrugging. You guys can't see it, but like, isn't he toast? He's just now realizing that he can't both defend and get Zamora to fire next turn. He has to hold back 3 drones if he wants to do it, but that's no way to live. Right, he tried to go for the higher econ strategy. I don't know. He was in sort of a tough spot, I think, because my threatening the early Zamora made things tough for him. Like, this is just such a like strong player 2 Zamora here. I think, like, here's the thing though, like, Zamora, I thought, all by itself, is not good enough to play. Your opponent can beat a Zamora rush like this by just building Tarsiers, I think, basically. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my understanding of what is true in expert level play. So people often talk about, like, you know, you play with base plus 5, which is what we're doing here, base plus 8, whatever. But you can also talk about the set base plus Zamora. Right? In the set where Zamora is the only advanced set unit, would either player buy one? And I believe the answer is no. You can counter that with Tarsiers, basically. Here, Immolites are also present. So it seems like this ought to be punishable by just going, like, aggressive stuff. Right? Once he sees me do this, I feel like his response should not be to just build 2 drones, but go like drone Animus. Oh, he can't. He only has $8. Just go Animus? That certainly is a playable line in some kinds of sets. The turn 2 player 1 Animus. Saying to me, look, you think you can go Zamora? I will hurt you, and you will regret this. So what happens in that kind of line? Like, does that work? Just Animus. Go. Right? Let's say I continue with my plan. Drone Conduit. He builds Tarsiers. Now I guess what? Blue is my plan? And another drone? Maybe, in fact, an Auric Impulse? I might need this drone for something else next turn? No. I can't. I'll have too much money to spend next turn, so let's just build a drone. More Tarsiers. You know what? Forget Tarsiers. Immolites. Drone behind. Now what? I wall. He's killing all my Engies, so I guess I build some more? And a drone. Oh, I didn't! Oh my god, I didn't build my Zamora. Hang on. We have to build the Zamora on this turn, even. And a Blast Forge. Just to defend these Tarsiers. Now he builds the Immolites and a drone. Wall defends. He attacks more Immolites. Oh my god, this feels horrible. For me. Right? Like, what do I do? Oh my lord. He's probably going to build more Tarsiers or more Immolites next turn. I don't know which. They're both pretty bad for me. Probably more Immolites just to keep me down, right? So, like, I build a wall and an NG. Then I can't even drone. So maybe I build, like, 2 drones and an NG? Try to get the upper hand somehow on economy, but I'm never building any attackers this way. Maybe I just do this. Try to make him defend. But I think that that's an empty threat. Right? When he attacks this way, I have to defend onto wall, and soon I'll be using Steel Splitter as my only defender. It's not actually attacking him. He can call my bluff. And like, okay, if I attack, I kill 1 engineer. What does he care, right? I, like, can't even defend. Zamora is still forever away, and what have I built other than Zamora? Nothing. Yeah, I think that this is the counter to the to the player 2 natural Zamora. Especially with Immolites in the set. Even with just Tarsiers, it should be pretty okay. But the Immolites really put, like, a ton of pressure on. Now, that's of course base plus Zamora, right? Like, maybe the presence of Mahar Rectifier is enough that I can do all of this but don't get the blue at all, right? Say, forget this stupid blue. I don't want it. I'll build a Mahar Rectifier soon. Gonna have to lose some drones to do it, because, well, not drones. I guess I have to do this. Might as well do this, right? No, that's worse. Well, I was thinking this to let me force field to soak up his attack next turn. Which is worse. I come out with 1 drone less because I have to force field it. But I have 1 conduit more. Compared to doing this. In either case, let's say I do this, right? And he goes, duh, gotcha, Immolite's coming. Now I build the Rectifier. I can't build the Rectifier. Alright, well that's a problem with the engineer line. So we build the conduit instead, planning to force field. But now I still can't build the Rectifier, right? I don't have enough gold. So the Rectifier doesn't seem like a strong enough justification for this attempt. I guess I can't build the conduit either? But 1 NG doesn't really let me defend. I guess it just says, fine, breach, kill a drone. I don't like it, but that's what I'm gonna have to do in order to get the Rectifier up. Right? But he does breach, he kills a drone, builds more Immolites, and another drone. I'm not attacking him. I mean, I could, but it's not very good. Now I finally have a break turn, but what am I going to do with it? I can't even drone. I ran out of NGs. Build NGs? Great! I did it! More NGs. He could attack like this. Should he? I'm not sure. Probably. Yeah, I mean, like, the Rectifier, quote, absorbs it, but it just means it's harder for the Rectifier to defend next turn, and it's not like these guys are ever going to need to block anything. Meanwhile, he can build some real attackers and more drones. I can continue defending, but I still can't build anything. In fact, I shouldn't have built so many NGs in this line, right? Do this, then I can build another Rectifier next turn. So maybe he's supposed to build Immolites to make that play worse. Yeah, now I can't even defend. Where's the dang Rectifier? There it is. So he's like... no, don't... Okay. He's sort of grinding me out here, right? Just Immolites and a couple Tarsiers. But now my Rectifier is sort of working, and I can Force Field, build a couple NGs. I don't know. It's looking pretty bad for me. My drones are all about dead. And like, Zamora's coming soon, but I won't have enough green. I'm spending too much of it, and I'm not able to replace it. So maybe I forget the NGs. I just build a conduit. And try to say, all I'm gonna have is Zamora. Can you beat just Zamora with Immolites? And maybe at this point you transition into blue. I don't know, maybe you had to do that last turn. At any rate, it seems like it presents a pretty credible threat to go for like turn 2 Animus against the turn 2 Zamora threat. And it's really hard for the Zamora player to stay alive long enough in that case. Whereas if you do what my opponent actually did, I was never really that threatened. Right? It was like a bit awkward, but I had time to get an Asterican. I had time to get walls. These are all things that a Zamora player would love to be able to build. And I think trying to, I don't know. My opponent's plan of like trying to counter Zamora much later and show that the high economy of the early game was worthwhile, it's not crazy. Maybe it could work. It didn't work here. I don't know if that's because he executed it wrong. My suspicion is that it's because it's a bad plan. But I think the Animus plan is pretty tough to deal with as player 2. I think I might very well have lost in that case. You could see, even when I was playing for both players, I was making mistakes for myself. Like not spotting what my opponent could threaten to do. Having the time travel to fix it. Okay, so we only, I believe, got one game in this episode, but it was an interesting one. Was it only one game? Let me just double check my previous episode. Yeah, okay, just one game. But I don't want to start another one right now and go to like almost an hour if it's a long game. Maybe I'll try after this game starting next episode, slightly turn up my preference for number of units so we have a few less. I don't know, even like I like base +5. It's, you know, many Prismata players find it too simple, and that's fair. Like, I think that those players are better than I am. A lot of beginners, I think, also like base +8 because there's so much exciting stuff going on. I like base +5 because there is often something resembling a dominant strategy, or just one or two strategies that you can consider in relation to each other. Base +8 to me feels more like, I understand that there are in base +8 many more strategies, and many of them are viable. You can, if you can hold them all in your head at once, you can compare them in relation to each other. But like, I'm not that good. I can't do that. And so to me, base +8 feels like you spot one or two enemies, one or two units that seem to work together well, and you build them, and like just maybe it's good, and like you kind of mix in whatever else is convenient to be able to afford to buy. That's how I play base +8 because I'm not an expert player. And so for me, it's not that much fun. But like base +5 is a little bit on the easy side. 6 or 7 is kind of cool. So maybe I'll turn up my preferences for how many units we play with, and we can see some slightly more complicated sets. I do like, though, being able to look over a set and say, look, here's the two strategies that I see. How do they play out against each other? In a base +8 set, I don't even know what to identify as possible strategies. Anyway, I should just stop talking about that. We can talk about it next episode when we're actually playing the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.